Yeah, you can probably guess what stream's about today, to be completely fair. Um, yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah. So, with that in mind, I don't even know. What the fuck? Oh, Jesus. People are saying it's World War III. I certainly hope not. Now that I'm no longer in fucking college. Alright, back. Fuck off. uh, Something happened last night? I was a little out of the loop. Maybe someone can help me here. Oh, brother. It's, this Yahoo guy. What? Something happened? Oh boy. Oh brother. All right, well, seems like I fucked up not continuing learning the history of the Middle East. What do you know? Beck, did you pop in and say that and then dip? God damn it. Brother. What? The fuck? You motherfucker. Ah! That's email addresses. You don't need to know those. Oh my god. Making me go to my goddamn email. Probably not. Da, 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 da. Oh my fucking lord. Where do I need to do my... What? Oh, for the fucking love of God. What? Okay, now it works? Okay, whatever. Cool, I guess. Okay, let's do it. History time. Who's excited? Oh, brother. I don't even know where to start here.
On September 3rd, 2022, around 6:30 p.m. in Tehran, a 22-year-old woman was taken into custody by the Gashdar Shad, the morality police. She was brought to a detention center and placed in a re-education class. There, Gina Masa Amini was to be instructed on how to wear a hijab in accordance with Iranian Sharia law. 26 minutes later, under suspicious circumstances, she collapsed. She was taken to a hospital and died on September 16th. Protests sprung up in Iran and spread across the country, escalating into calls to overthrow their Islamic government. Protesters and authorities clashed, resulting in the deaths of perhaps 75 officials and perhaps around 500 protesters. Tens of thousands were arrested. The protests quieted, and life in modern Iran continued on.
Light shower.
Turmoil itself is nothing new in Iran. As one historian put it, Iran is perhaps one of the most invaded and most revolution-prone countries in world history. For its thousands of years of tumult, for better or for worse, Iran has seen it all. Again, as another historian put it, a visiting Martian wanting to see the full range of human activity, good and bad, to understand mankind, could well look at Iran as a kind of introductory course. Iran, I would add, seems to me to be about as interesting as it is misunderstood. Iran's morality police might seem like a small subject within all that, but the policing of morals happens on a much grander scale in Iran than what you might see in terms of patrolling bands. It's a concept central to the very core of Iran's Islamic government, and one you need to understand Iran and its politics today. We're going to concern ourselves with moral policing on that grand scale and give you the context you need to understand it. Context regarding the religion behind it, which is, of course, Islam, and historical context. The context that led to and informs the drama that you see in Iran today. We're going to start by winding the clock back, probably a little farther back than you think, all the way back to around 2000 BCE Mesopotamia, to the founding myth of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. As the story goes, a sheep herder named Abraham was spoken to by God. God told Abraham that if he trusted in his existence and was a loyal devotee, Abraham and his heirs, in return, would receive immense God-given rewards. From that myth sprouted the three great Abrahamic religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Though they may use different names and not always be aware of it, they all share the same God. Where they differ is in believing who the heirs of God's promise are, each typically believing that it is they and they alone. All three religions believe that God has delivered a final message to humanity, but each differ in their beliefs of when and where that message was delivered. Jews believe that God spoke to humanity in only one era of human history, all the way back in antiquity, as told in the Torah. Christians believe that God delivered a second message in the form of his Son on earth, Jesus, while Muslims believe that a third and final message was delivered to a businessman in 7th century Arabia named Muhammad. They believe that the message was first delivered by an angel that spoke God's unedited speech that was then delivered to humanity in more or less unedited form by Muhammad. That message, assembled together, is the Quran. So Muslims believe that the words of the Quran are quite literally God's speech, which gives the contents of the Quran for Muslims an unusual power. Power not found comparably in Christianity with the Bible, or in Judaism with the Torah, which were both to a greater degree, as it's usually believed, interpreted and written by humans. The message that God tells humanity in the Quran is that it is He who has created heaven and earth, and created Adam and Eve as the first humans, and it is He who will therefore judge His creation, judge humanity based on their behavior. Adam's fall from heaven in the Quran is not seen as a sin, but rather an error in judgment, and has not tainted the human race with its consequences. So there is no original sin that needs to be purged in Islam. Humans have no inherent wrong, but must instead focus on retaining their purity by living their life as God wills it. What God demands of humanity in the Quran, at the very most basic level, is twofold. On one hand, what is needed is belief in the one true God. And on the other, what is needed is submission to the will of God. So Islam in Arabic means to submit, and to be a Muslim means to be one who submits to the will of God. As God articulates his will in the Quran, what gradually unfolds is essentially a series of directions that regulate human behavior, a list of concrete human acts that tells one how to live and how not to live in order to be in accordance with God's will. Those who follow God's will are moral and will be rewarded in this life and in heaven. Those who disbelieve in God and his message will be punished by God eternally in hell. In contrast to some other religious practices, Islamic morality is something that applies to everyone, at least in theory, regardless of whether you choose to opt in or out of it. It's a message that Muslims believe God revealed to all of humanity, and it's a message that you're either aware of or you're not. But there isn't moral room in Islam to disagree with it, or with the commands that God wills. So, unlike some other religious practices that tend to impose their morality on a more voluntary basis, Islam tends to impose its morality in the form of law applicable to everyone, at least in theory, that its political authority extends over. On that note, the concept of law is so important and inherently close to Islam itself that early Islam made no distinction between law and religion, and Islamic scholarship focuses most characteristically not on theology, but on that law. Islamic law, expressed as a whole systematic body, is called the Sharia. It's contentious to name any one singular passage in the Quran that's the basis for the Sharia, but I'll read a famous one that, for our purposes, will do. First, it calls for Muslims to come together as a community on the basis of Islam. Hold fast, it says, all of you together to the cable of Allah, and do not separate. And then it calls for that group of Muslims to impose their morality within that society. As it says, and there may spring from you a nation who invite to goodness and enjoin right conduct and forbid indecency. Such are they who are successful. The command to enforce morality there is a major one in Muslim theory, and is typically translated as commanding right and forbidding wrong. Now remember that Muslims believe this is literally the word of God telling them to do this. They believe God has commanded them to see to it that morally correct behavior occurs, and also to see to it that morally wrong behavior is forbidden. It's a duty that applies to both Muslim men and Muslim women. As it says, and the believers, men and women, are protecting friends of one another. They enjoin the right and forbid the wrong, and they establish worship and they pay the poor due, and they obey Allah and His Messenger. As for these, Allah will have mercy on them. Lo, Allah is mighty, wise. So while there is a concrete unit in Iran known as the Morality Police, you could say that the
exactly what I'm
concept
looking
of
for here. I'm looking for more of a history type thing. All right, let's go here.
In 1979, a revolution topples Iranian ruler Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, and with that, a monarchy of more than 2,500 years.
Ich habe zunächst nicht an einem Umbruch geglaubt.
That's the way authoritarian regimes fall. First gradually, and then suddenly.
The Shah's mistake was to want to do too much too fast.
Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, Persia's last emperor, was a key figure in world politics in the second half of the 20th century.
Late shower? Yeah, don't fuck with him.
His fiercest opponent, Ruhollah Mousavi Khomeini. The Ayatollah becomes the bearer of hope for all those who are against the Shah.
Die beiden sind tatsächlich Gegenpole, so wie ihr gesellschaftliches Bild, so auch ihre beiden Personen.
They became very fierce antagonists, absolutely. And the Shah developed an almost obsession with them.
Their rivalry lasted for almost their entire lives. In the end, the Shah is defeated, the Ayatollah is victorious, and with him, Islamic fundamentalism, a new challenge for world politics.
Sways?
In September 1941, a young man becomes the new ruler of Iran. At just 21 years of age, Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi is sworn in as the new head of state in the Iranian parliament, in the middle of the Second World War. His father, Reza Shah Pahlavi, had remained neutral. But he made no secret of his sympathies for the Nazi regime. The Allies demanded his resignation. Since Hitler's attack on the Soviet Union, the British and the Americans depend on Iran for the transport of heavy war materials to Russia, for the fight against the German Reich.
Als der Vater nach seiner Abdankung Iran verlassen hat, blieb Mohammad Reza zurück. Also der Vater Reza Schah hat ihn auch zurückgelassen, hat eben auch gesagt, du musst das hier übernehmen, du bleibst hier.
Mohammad Reza had been prepared for this task by his father from an early age. Among his siblings, he has a special role as Crown Prince. His father selects his playmates and sends him to a Swiss elite boarding school to give him a Western education.
Not espresso martinis.
Finally, he tells him who to marry. It's the Egyptian princess Fawzia. With the arranged marriage between the two dynasties, the father wants to reinforce the Pahlavi's power in Iran.
And he was a
gamers
very,
here?
very powerful, charismatic figure who completely dominates the son's life.
Goes ape mode?
300 kilometers
Something
southwest
goes
of
something
Tehran,
mode.
the oasis town of Khomeini is situated. In 1902, Ruhollah Mousavi Khomeini is born in a house on the outskirts of that town, the youngest of 6 children.
Sicko mode?
He never meets his father.
No fucking
His
way.
father is murdered when he is 5 months old under suspicious circumstances. Khomeini will later hold Reza Shah accountable.
Until the end of his days, Ayatollah Khomeini thought that Reza Shah personally had intervened and to save the murder. That was that bitterness left in him, because in his writings, every now and then he says, those whose fathers have been killed by Reza Shah.
Khomeini grows up without a father. This will impact him all his life. His mother takes Khomeini to a wealthy aunt who makes sure he receives a good education. At 5 years of age, Khomeini starts school. A village teacher teaches him how to read and write. He's a fast learner. Among his classmates, he's the most gifted. While others play, he studies and reads the Quran. Before Reza Shah was forced to abdicate, he had started extensive reforms in Iran. He wanted Persia to become a modern state. This included the fact that women were no longer allowed to wear a chador, the traditional veil. The clergy saw this as an assault on religious matters and protested.
Scam in real
For
time.
Khomeini, who was studying Islamic theory of law by then,
Do I have
this was a
some virus
fundamental
on my computer. Fuck off. No.
violation of the principles of Islam.
Khomeini war ein politischer Geistlicher, auch schon bevor er
So with
wirklich
all of
öffentlich
it?
auftrat. Kann man das auch festmachen an seinen Schriften. Also wir haben ein Traktat von ihm, Kashful Asrar, also die Enthüllung der Geheimnisse heißt dieser Titel. Darin greift er sehr stark Reza Shah an.
Reza Shah's abdication under pressure from the Allies must have been greatly gratifying for him. He demands that Iran will now be ruled according to Islamic law again. This demand doesn't have any effect yet.
Guys?
Reza Shah dies in exile in South Africa in 1944. If not before, now with his son transferring the body, all eyes are on the new Shah. People wonder how he will solve the conflict with the clergy, which he inherited from his father. So far, he'd been perceived as rather restrained by the public.
Okay.
As Shakespeare says,
One
some
thing.
have greatness thrust upon them, and some
what?
seize greatness. Muhammad Reza Shah had
the
the monarchy
sorceress?
thrown upon him. And there was a big difference with someone who goes and grabs power and creates the modern state to with someone who was essentially a reluctant king.
I really need to learn Arabic.
The young Shah acts surprisingly resolutely.
Uh-oh.
Like his father, he wants to modernize state and society, but end his father's confrontational course with the clergy. His subsequent opponent, Khomeini, now teaches Islamic theory of law.
Oh my God,
He finds a sympathetic ear in younger students who become radicalized. One group names themselves Fadaiyan-e-Islam. These martyrs of Islam are Shiite fundamentalists. They come from the ghettos of Tehran and demand the establishment of a theocratic state on the basis of the Quran. Any Western influence is to be banned. Women must wear veils in public again.
You guys just...
Within a couple of years, they really became very important because they, first of all, they assassinated a top intellectual, Mr. Ahmad Kasravi, who campaigned against Islam as a whole. Then they proceeded further and assassinated the Prime Minister, General Razmara. And Khomeini was the cleric who gave them clerical cover. Because, you know, in Islam, or at least in Shiite Islam, you can't just go and kill somebody unless a clerical authority writes a fatwa, as, for example, like Khomeini wrote against Salman Rushdie.
In early 1949, there's an assassination attempt on the Shah as well.
U.S. citizens should leave immediately? Yeah, probably.
It was probably carried out by a terror group, but this has never been proven. The Iranian parliament blames the Moscow-following Tudeh party and bans it. This comes in useful for the Shah, for communist ideology is equally as suspicious to him as is radical Islam. His political path is directed towards the West.
I'm looking forward with the keenest anticipation to all that I have to experience here in the greatest of the democracies in a free world.
Do the Qatari media, yes.
In November 1949, the American president, Harry S. Truman, and the American people welcomed Shah Mohammad Reza exuberantly. But not exactly selflessly. They want to secure access to the huge oil reserves in Iran.
Does Khomeini have Twitter?
The Shah, on the other hand, needs support for his plans to modernize Iran from the bottom. He's interested in all technical innovations like the Hoover Dam. Not everyone likes his enthusiasm for the West.
Das Land war total abhängig. Der Schah war abhängig von den Amerikanern und von den Briten. Und wir wollten ein unabhängiges Land haben.
What am I looking for?
Ein Land, das sein Schicksal selbst in die Hand nimmt, selbst entscheidet.
Fantasy, myths, ancient beginnings. Elevate your historical exploration to unparalleled heights with a History Hits subscription. Don't miss out on our latest releases, where classicist Natalie Haynes travels to Corfu to unravel the story of the Gorgon Medusa, one of the most iconic yet misconstrued figures of Greek myth.
Alright, let's see what this
זה בתחילתו. לאיראן יש יכולות וגם כוונות, כפי שראינו כבר. צה"ל פעל באיראן והבטיח, זה חלק מהסיבות שלא בוצע ירי לעבר ישראל של טילי קרקע עד כה. אבל אנחנו עוקבים אחרי איראן, נערכים לתגובה מאיראן, יודעים שהם נערכים לתגובה.
We know that they're ready to respond and fire on us. We will continue to operate and protect the citizens of Israel.
לתגובה ולירי עלינו, ונמשיך לפעול ולהגן על אזרחי מדינת ישראל. אנחנו צריכים להיערך
we have to prepare for an extended operation. The IDF is ready for defense and offense.
למבצע ממושך. צה"ל ערוך בהגנה ובהתקפה.
We will continue to operate until the war goals are achieved. Oh, brother. What are the war goals?
Mythology. Join Jasmine Elmer as she dives into something that people have been obsessed with throughout history. Dragons. Where did they come from? What exactly is a dragon? Finally, Dan Snow explores the ancient history of the Isles of Scilly and discovers burial grounds built thousands of years ago. Discover hundreds of hours of award-winning documentaries and ad-free podcasts with History Hit. Sign up for a special offer via the link in the description.
The global economic boom after the war requires fuel. Oil. In Abadan, near the Persian Gulf, the world's greatest refinery is built. Since the beginning of the 20th century, oil production had been mainly in British hands. In Iran, the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company is like a state within a state.
Just keep monitoring this.
When the Iranian parliament decides to nationalize the oil industry in March 1951, Great Britain pulls the oil plug on Iran. Many British experts have to leave the country. The takeover of the oil facilities by a national company is cheered on boisterously, but the oil embargo soon forces the country's economy to its knees. Extremist parties like the Communist Tudeh party take advantage. They become very popular. The Shah temporarily flees into exile, out of the line of fire. The mullahs and their followers, and different political groups like the communists who aim for the abolition of the monarchy and a people's republic, fight for dominance in Iran. The Shah only manages to stay in power through the intervention of the USA. The American Secret Service, CIA, supports him with a lot of money and helps him to establish his own secret service, the Sabak.
Our Shah became a kind of Roman Caesar, involved in day-to-day business, involved in day-to-day wars, and if, like the Roman Caesar, you become involved in day-to-day, like Julius Caesar, somebody will kill you.
During this time, Khomeini doesn't make any public statements on political questions. He withdraws to his house in the holy city of Qom, where he lives with his wife and children. Only his most dedicated followers come to see him, but they don't say a word about what Khomeini discusses with them either. In solitude, the clergyman continues his work on his ideas for the Islamization of the Iranian state, discreetly but with confidence. He is extremely confident when he meets the Shah in person. On behalf of the Grand Ayatollah, Khomeini asks the Shah to pardon one of the assassins from the terror group Fadayan-e-Islam, successfully. The Shah definitely wants dialogue with the mullahs. He keeps going on pilgrimages to Mecca in Saudi Arabia, Islam's central pilgrimage site. As a Muslim, he shows respect for Islam and accepts the religious authority of the imams. But such publicity performances always serve multiple interests.
His religious feelings, I think, came from his mother. We know his mother was very religious. His father clearly was not. His politics towards religion has nothing to do with his religiosity. His politics to religion has to do with his fear that the greatest threat to Iran will come from the communists, and that the way to fight the communists is by strengthening religion.
Talk under, I guess.
And that's exactly what he does.
Sure, why not? Where's sugar on?
Any ally in the fight against the influence of the Communist Soviet Union is fine with the Shah. Therefore, he tries to win over the clergy, which was traditionally anti-communist and monarchist. It's a calculation which won't add up.
He certainly thought that that ideological backing was religion. And that's, again, another mistake that he made. Religion, as particularly as incarnated by the Shia clergy, could never have become the ideological framework on which to build modernization and westernization.
Hat tip. Okay, it's
in December 1959, there are pompous festivities in Tehran.
Beast mode,
Tabloid reporters from all over the world fight for the best picture of Mohammad Reza Shah and Farah Diba. After 2 divorces, the new queen needs to produce the desired successor to the throne, so that the Pahlavi dynasty can live on. Farah Diba becomes an influential woman at the side of her husband. She also accompanies him on his trip to America in April 1962, where the couple are received frenetically. The Shah seeks to deepen Iranian-American relations with President John F. Kennedy. Both agree that only a strong military can fend off the latent threat of the Soviet Union. Arming Iran is a done deal. For the Americans, it's a valuable business. Weapons for oil.
Sorry. Oh, fuck. The S&P is under 600. Uh-oh. World is not liking the war? I presume that's what it is.
Die Amerikaner haben die modernsten Waffen dem Schah zur Verfügung gestellt. Seine Militärs aufgebaut. Es gab unzählige militärische Berater im Iran. Die haben bestimmt, was gemacht wird und was nicht gemacht wird. Und alles, was sie gemacht haben, diente bestimmt nicht der Demokratie.
In the 1960s, Iran was still a developing country. Most of the people were farmers without their own land. The land belonged to feudal masters and land barons, including a number of mullahs and religious trusts. On the 11th of January 1963, the Shah introduces an extensive program of reforms. He calls it the White Revolution. Its aim is to markedly improve the conditions of life for the people.
Oh, Jesus.
انقلاب سفید موقعی که علازت تصمیم گرفتن واقعا تصمیم و فکر خودشون بود. برای که همونطور که گفتم ایشون میخواستن مملکتشون هموطنانشون پیشرفته بشن جلو برن.
A national referendum strengthens the ambitious program, which includes the abolition of the feudal system, privatization of state-owned companies, the fight against illiteracy, and the introduction of women's voting rights. Women are not allowed to take part in the referendum yet. However, they flock to the polling stations to demonstrate their approval.
He wanted Iran to modernize. The White Revolution was intended to make Iran better. And it did. In many, many ways it did. It ended feudalism in Iran. That's not an easy thing to do.
Oh shit, everybody.
The starting point of the White Revolution was a land reform against the determined resistance of the clergy. The Shah hands over more than 500,000 hectares of land, an area twice the size of Luxembourg, to some 30,000 destitute families.
یه دلیل این بود که فکر می‌کردیم، یعنی گفته می‌شد در اون زمان شایع بود که زیر فشار آمریکایی‌ها رژیم شاه این کار کرده، بنابراین این برای تامین کننده هدف‌های استعماری امپریالیستیه و به نفع مردم ایران نیست و یه چیز فرمایشی هست به دستور خارجی‌ها، به دستور آمریکایی‌ها.
In order for children to learn reading, writing and maths, soldiers teach them in village schools. Adult farmers and nomads have to go back to school. The Shah involves all strata of the population in his campaign.
Es gab eine Armee zur Alphabetisierung und nicht tatsächliche Bildung. Und ich meine, es ist gut, wenn die Leute alphabetisiert sind, aber Alphabetisierung bedeutet nicht politische Bildung. Das ist ein sehr großer Unterschied. Und politische Bildung wurde überhaupt sowohl an den Schulen als auch an den Universitäten verboten.
Khomeini takes on the role of a mouthpiece for a group of mullahs who reject this policy as pro-Western.
در اون زمان آیت الله خمینی عنوان فردی شمرده میشد که این خواسته های مردم رو، خواسته های معترضان و مخالفان رو بازگو میکرد و با شجاعت و شهامت اینها رو پیگیری میکرد. از این جهت هم ما از آیت الله خمینی حمایت میکردیم.
Khomeini war zu der Zeit, als er dann wirklich öffentlich auftrat, eben nicht mehr der junge Geistliche, der vorher war in Rom, der sich über den Schah beschwert hatte, der sich dann eben auch zurückhielt aus Respekt vor seinen Lehrern, sondern zu der Zeit war er dann eben auch schon Großayatollah, hatte sich dann eben auch schon eine ansehnliche Anhängerschaft versammelt und konnte dann natürlich auch, hatte ein ganz anderes Mobilisierungspotenzial.
Labor away.
Khomeini takes advantage of his gain in power. He abandons his hitherto withdrawn position and openly opposes the Shah's politics. For the first time, he publicly warns him not to carry on with his father's ways.
Oh, brother.
Khomeini sent a couple of letters directly addressed to the Shah, and the Shah gave a couple of speeches, directly responding to it. I've quoted those at length in the Shah book, and they're remarkable. Khomeini for his defiance, telling the Shah, boy,
rags to riches.
Don't do something so that I throw you out of the country like your father. And the Shah saying these little, the word is like ants, like who survive in feces. We are not going to let them rule this country.
Of discs.
Strengthening the role of women in Iranian society is an integral part of the White Revolution. Iranian women grasped this opportunity to make public use of their newly acquired rights and the associated self-confidence.
Honor code. I'm stupid.
Women can not only vote now, they can also become political candidates. For Iranian women, this is a milestone on their path to emancipation.
آزادی زنان که خیلی مهم بود وسط حقوقی که زنان گرفتن بعد در مقایسه با خیلی ممالک اروپایی جلوتر بود.
But there was a lot of resistance and the first revolution in 63 happened, led by Khomeini, happened specifically on this particular item of the voting decree.
Muses?
For Khomeini and his followers, the new role of women in politics and society is a threat to the foundation of their faith. They mount a counterattack. Khomeini denounces corruption, state violence, and the torture used by the state's secret service Savak. He threatens the tyrant of our time in a speech with a black reaction to the White Revolution.
Khomeini war der Einzige, der sehr radikal damals gegen den Schah sich geäußert hat. Hat ihn gedroht, dass ihn als einen sündhaften Menschen, religiös sündhaften Menschen darstellen würde. Und hat gedroht, einen Aufstand gegen ihn zu organisieren.
There are demonstrations and counter-demonstrations. The Shah deploys the military to the holy city of Qom. Blood is shed. Khomeini is arrested and sentenced to death. Thanks to the pleading of numerous clerics, the sentence is changed, and Khomeini is exiled to Najaf in Iraq. In the meantime, the implementation of the White Revolution is more difficult for the rural population than expected. The farmers now have their own fields to till, but they often lack seeds, water, and modern agricultural machines.
نتیجه این شد که این اصلاحات ارضی سبب شد که روستایی‌ها در ده نمیتونستن بمونن، راهی شهرها شدن، راهی شهرستان شدن، راهی تهران شدن. بعد در تهران هم چون اینا در داخل شهر نمیتونستن زندگی بکنن، آمیان حاشیه‌نشین شهرها شدن. و همین حاشیه‌نشین‌ها بودن در دوره انقلاب جزو سربازان انقلاب شدن.
If you're going to end feudalism and you're going to bring millions of people into the city, you have to be prepared for it. You have to think, who is going to teach these people the political rules of the new game? And then he made it impossible for anyone other than the clergy to have a political organization in Iran.
At first, Khomeini completely secludes himself in his exile in Najaf, a stronghold of Shiite Islam in Iraq. At 60, he believes he's finished. He's isolated. Many Iraqi scribes...
I gotta use the restroom. Apologies, fellas. Back to it. Even though.
Don't want to have anything to do with his political activities. He immerses himself in his studies of the Holy Scriptures again. He only communicates with very few of his pupils to stay abreast of the situation in Iran. One of his few pillars is his family, who have followed him into exile.
He was this distant figure, very little interest in anything other than his mosque and his books. He never went once 2 blocks from his house, the other side, to see a river. He went to his mosque and came home for 14 years.
Meanwhile, in Iran, in October 1967, the Shah continues the grandeur of the old days. The Shah had always stressed that he wanted to achieve something for his country before ascending the peacock throne with all honors. Now, he has himself crowned emperor in Tehran. The clergy supports him. The Shah has always factored the clergy into his public appearances. He knows how important it is, especially for the ordinary people, to reference the religious foundation of the ruling dynasty. Now it seems he has arrived. He is the Shahanshah, the King of Kings. And he also crowns his wife Empress, something that has never happened before in Persia's long history.
همیشه میگم موقعی که حضرت تاجو به سر من گذاشتن مثل که تاجو به سر تمام زنان ایران گذاشتن و خب در تاریخ مملکت ما خیلی مهم بود این و راستش من اینقدر فکر نمی‌کردم که من مهم شدم. میدونید واقعا فکر می‌کردم که یه کاری برای پیش بردن و احترام به زنان.
In May and June 1967, the glamorous couple is on a state visit in West Germany. They are welcomed by Federal President Lübke and Federal Chancellor Kiesinger. The visit mainly serves economic interests. The Shah visits the big steel companies along the Rhine and Ruhr rivers because he needs support for the industrialization of his country, for instance with the construction of new reservoir dams for the irrigation of farmland. It's a lucrative opportunity for the German economy.
Man hat das Potenzial des Marktes gesehen. Die Banken waren auch beteiligt und daran interessiert, als Finanzier für derartige Dinge in Frage zu kommen, sodass das eigentlich ein Geben und Nehmen war.
When the ruling couple visits the German opera in Berlin, the ugly face of the Shah regime is revealed. Members of his secret service Sabak attack demonstrators who are protesting against suppression and torture in Iran. The situation escalates. The visit of the Shah and the protests against his politics mark a turning point in the history of West Germany. In Tehran, the Shah's monument, which Faradiba had commissioned, is meant as an architectural expression of the new modern identity of the empire. In the old imperial city of Persepolis, on the other hand, the Shah commemorates the Persian Empire's 2,500 years of history with an ostentatious celebration. In 1971, the biggest party in the world is held in the middle of the desert. Monarchs, heads of state, and dictators attend. The population is not invited.
It was one of those things that the intention was well, but the execution went so much in exaggerated way, mixed with cronyism and corruption, that I think it backfired on him.
In order to lead the White Revolution to success, the Shah upgrades the technology of the country with the help of capital assistance from abroad. He invests billions in electrification and numerous other industries. He wants Iran to get in with modernity and become great again, just like the Persian Empire was historically.
I think that our country
in the next 10 years will be what you are today. In the next 25 years, according to other people, I'm not saying that, will be among the 5 most prosperous countries of the world.
To this end, the Shah also invests in nuclear energy. US, American and French companies want to do this lucrative deal. In the end, however, it's West German businesses who signed the deal with Iran.
Natürlich waren wir stolz, dass wir den Auftrag bekamen, das erste Atomkraftwerk im Iran zu bauen, also Siemens KWU. Auf der anderen Seite habe ich mich natürlich gefragt, warum baut ein Land, das unendlich viele Energiereserven, Öl und Gas hat, warum bauen die überhaupt ein teures Atomkraftwerk? Einmal spielte natürlich für die deutsche Wirtschaft auch der Opportunismus eine Rolle. Wir waren interessiert zu liefern oder zu investieren.
The motivation came from the necessity of his time, whether we like it or not. Modernization is to a large extent westernization. You can't modernize without westernizing.
Geometric head I've ever seen.
The capital, Tehran in particular, opens itself up to the cultural lifestyle of the West and becomes a modern metropolis. Veiled women are now hardly to be seen anywhere in the town. Young people are allowed to travel without restrictions and educate themselves. They enjoy all the advantages of a cosmopolitan city and show no inhibitions. On the other hand, the political power structures don't change at all. They remain traditionally monarchist and tailored to the Shah.
Wollte alles alleine entscheiden. Und das war der Fehler, der erstens alle Misserfolge, die hatte, erklärt und letztendlich auch das, was zu seinem Ende geführt hat.
و وزرای شاه جرأت نمی‌کردند به شاه بگویند وضعیت اقتصاد کشور خراب است. اینا همه ناشی میشد از این تغییر از بالا، اونم به شیوه استبدادی که پر از فساد بود و جنایت ها و کشتن روشنفکران، فراری دادن روشنفکران و خیانت، به لحاظی که ایران رو زیر سلطه بیگانه نگاه می داشت.
In contrast, in Najaf in Iraq, time seems to have stood still. Khomeini holds lectures for a small circle of students. He thinks about what an Islamic legal system could be like, with the clergy taking on a leading role. He condemns the shallowness and pure sensual pleasures of the West, attacks the colonial powers and Israel, and demands the end of separation of politics and religion. The transcripts of the lectures are published in a book about the Islamic State.
I think I was one of the maybe first people to read it. I was shocked by it. But I, like a lot of other simple people like me, thought this would never work. This is a medieval idea. Iran, that has had a constitutional revolution in 1905, 07, is not going to let the clergy come and cut off people's hands in public squares. And it's not going to let the clergy rule because they know Sharia. I was wrong, as were a lot of other countries and forces.
In Iran, this book about the Islamic State is not published, but banned. They want to prevent the radical ideas and theological demands of the Shiite cleric from spreading. But the censorship only increases the fascination Khomeini's book holds for the opponents of the ruling class.
کتاب ولایت فقیه ایشون رو چند سال پیش از پیروزی انقلاب من خودم بارها عرض کنم که تو شهرستان‌ها بردم، جاهای مختلف بردم، دادم به دست افراد و البته این در حالی بود که اگر واقعا این کار ما به دست ساواک میرسید، ساواک متوجه میشد، خیلی به اصطلاح برای ما سنگین تمام میشد، گران تمام میشد، ولی در این حال ما این کار انجام میدادیم.
Those who politically oppose the Shah's regime face imprisonment in the Iranian Secret Service Savak's prison, where torture and executions are daily fare. This was one thing the students had demonstrated against when the Shah visited Germany. There is no getting out of the dreaded detention center, which was built by German architects in the 1930s. Iranian politicians who are active today, like the current supreme religious leader Ali Khamenei, were imprisoned there during the reign of the Shah.
Did they do bad things? Absolutely. Did they torture people? Absolutely. You can't forget that they actually did torture people. They tortured a lot of people. They executed a lot of people. But the opposition was also very successful in exaggerating the number of people who were in prison. We used to say in the Confederation that there are hundreds of thousands of prisoners in Iran. The actual number was about 4,000.
Dissent, or worse, resistance, had no place in the Shah's regime. There is no open political dialogue on the country's social and political development. The parties, from left to right, are mostly silenced. The opposition has fled abroad or is imprisoned. The Shah's autocratic regime results in him losing contact with the people in his country more and more.
I'm not sure.
Das Land entwickelt sich nur dann, wenn die Menschen eine gewisse Autonomie bekommen. Das heißt, wenn sie das eigene Schicksal selbst in die Hand nehmen. Das ist ein Prozess der Demokratie. Ohne Demokratie, ohne Teilnahme der Bevölkerung läuft nichts.
For instance, the dealers on the markets play an important social role in Iran. Millions of people come and shop with them every day. The Shah, however, doesn't really take the bazaris, the market dealers, into consideration in his politics of westernization. Department stores, chain stores and supermarkets like the ones you can find in the West threaten their livelihood. The Shah doesn't realize the consequences of his policies and how many enemies he creates for himself with them.
Die iranische Revolution war ja erstmal per se keine rein islamische Revolution, sondern vereinte eben ganz unterschiedliche Kräfte, die eben auch in der iranischen Geschichte sehr stark waren. Deshalb würde ich das nicht reduzieren wollen auf so eine geistliche Opposition gegenüber dem Pahlavi-Staat.
Tehran in particular, with its modern high-rise buildings, becomes the symbol of this belief in progress. But many people can't keep up with the Shah's pace. So they turn to that institution which is familiar to them and which gives them security in their insecurity.
It completely went after the left, whether it was the left that was dependent on the Soviet Union or whether it was the social democratic left. The only people who were allowed to build mosques, build schools, teach their own cadres were the religious folks. And you bring millions into the cities, in shantytown.
Watch the Pentagon press briefings.
Protection duties. And secondly, can you also tell us whether or not at this point any of the Guard members or any of the Marines have actually participated in any of the temporary detainment? Thank you.
Sure. Thanks. Good morning, Lita. So actually 2 companies of 2-7 Marines actually moved to the Wilshire Federal Building in LA last night. They started what we call left seat, right seat leader familiarization training with the 79th IBCT soldiers that are there. They spent the night at that location. They will take over full operations today at noon at that location.
And on the second question, please.
My apologies, sir. We had a technical glitch there. Need you to unmute. My apologies.
Oh, sorry, Tecto. Lita, did you hear my question, my response?
I heard your response to the first part. I didn't hear your response.
Oh, okay. On the second spot, I'm sorry about that.
Right.
On the second part, we still, right now, as of today, we have had no soldier or Marine detain anyone. They have watched federal law enforcement arrest personnel as they were protecting. They have not had to detain anyone at this point.
Thank you.
Thank you. Reuters?
Just a clarification, how many Marines make up two companies? And then just to follow on the training you mentioned that they were receiving, has everyone gone through that training? And did that include any courses with JAGs about what they could and could not do legally?
Absolutely. So there are approximately 200 Marines that are at that location, two companies. Yes, they all.
So what we know at this point is that Israeli aircraft, about 200, struck more than 100 targets all across Iran. That included nuclear facilities, and we have some footage of those clearly burning at this point, although I'd be hesitant to say that they were fully destroyed quite yet. Also,
we need
the
damage
specific
assessment.
targeting
There's a
of
damage
senior
report.
Iranian personnel, military leadership, as well as key officials in their nuclear program. Right now, Israel is referring to this operation as Strength of a Lion and saying that they had to go after the Iranian nuclear program because there was an imminent threat building in the coming days. So what we're going to do today is update this as of 6:30 a.m. on Friday, June 13th, 2025. The plan will be to come back and provide additional details as more information is known in the coming hours. Starting out with the effects of these strikes so far, again, a lot of footage showing the destruction across Iran today. Not just fires burning throughout Tehran last night and smoke rising above the skyline, but also clearly some nuclear facilities with smoke emanating from those. Given the fact of how far underground some of these enrichment facilities are, it would not be wise at this point to say that the Iranian nuclear program has been eliminated. That's a challenging thing to do from the sky at baseline. We should expect, and Israel is saying this is the case, a prolonged campaign continually going after those facilities for some time. Now, right now, we already have confirmation from Iranian media of at least 3 senior Iranian officials that were eliminated in last night's strike. So this does not appear to have just been a campaign going after the physical aspects of the nuclear program and the Iranian military, because we certainly have some air defense assets that were hit last night as well and some long-range missiles. But also some senior officials. Right now, we're hearing that the chief of staff of the armed forces of the Iranian regime, Mohammad Bagheri, was eliminated, and there was some back and forth yesterday as to whether or not they were actually killed. But all in all, Iranian media was pretty quick in confirming the death of some of these senior officials. Just as notable, we have the commander of the who just a couple days ago was issuing threats about how any sort of Iranian and or U.S. attack against the Iranian nuclear facilities would be met with direct strikes against U.S. military bases in the region. Have to mention, of course, here, the curse of Soleimani continues. We have a picture of Salami. No surprise, given that he's the head of the IRGC with the late Soleimani. And there's kind of a theme. Anybody that gets their picture taken with Soleimani before too awful long ends up on the wrong end of a drone strike. And the last one here that's been confirmed today, again, this list continues to grow. I've seen the head of the Iranian, the IRGC, or the Iranian Military Emergency Command, Gholam Ali Rashid. Now, there's also been a number of senior Iranian nuclear officials that have been eliminated. We have some pictures showing their residences in Tehran, office buildings or homes that were hit overnight. You can see some of these penthouse locations in downtown Tehran that were struck. And we do have some confirmation from Iranian media that a handful of those folks were eliminated as well. This is something we talked about in yesterday's video, just leading up to this attack. Was when you're
this fucking tweet, man. Arab warfare be like: 1, release badass trailers showing your fighters training in the desert. 2, give speech promising to annihilate your enemies. Step 3, die. Fuck's sake. I mean, Iranians aren't Arab, though. They're Persian. But okay.
Middle East.
trying to
folder.
eliminate the nuclear
Iran.
program. It's not enough at this point to just destroy the facilities. There's a lot of knowledge inside of Iran, especially with these scientists, of how to, if the facilities are destroyed, to get right back to this place in the relative near future. So
what happened?
Appears at this point Israel went after not just the physical locations, but also the brain power behind the nuclear program.
Iran, if you will.
We also did see that Israel went after quite a few surface-to-air missile systems and long-range missile systems at the beginning of this campaign. It looks like right now Israel carried out, Mossad specifically, carried out something very much similar to the Ukrainian Operation Spiderweb.
Let's do... This is just a funny clip.
And my other question about the Middle East. As the Israelis apparently gear up for some kind of an attack, a possible attack on Iran, are you trying to talk Netanyahu out of doing that, or are you so against Iran having a nuclear weapon that you're okay, he does his thing because it is not an American war?
Yeah, it's a very fair question. Look, I want to have an agreement with Iran. We're fairly close to an agreement. We are fairly close to a pretty good agreement. It's got to be better than pretty good, though, but it's got to be, I'd much prefer an agreement. As long as I think there is an agreement, I don't want them going in, because I think that would blow it. Might help it, actually, but it also could blow it. But we've had very good discussions with Iran. Whether or not we get there, I can't tell you, but it'll happen soon. I say this, Peter, very strongly. They can't have, whether it's going in or not going in, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I'd prefer the more friendly path.
Can you tell us
what the Israelis told
Oh, sorry. Fucking audio mixing jump scare
women
there.
who were stationed in the Middle East?
They didn't tell me anything, but I said, look, there's a chance of massive conflict. We have a lot of American people in this area, and I said, we got to tell them to get out, because something could happen soon. And I don't want to be the one that didn't give any warning and missiles are flying into their building.
I don't want to be the one that didn't give any warning and missiles are flying. Yeah. Well, that worked. How did that go, brother? Oh, fuck. Well, alright. History time. Oh, fuck. Oh, my least favorite thing. Actual fucking research. Shit, the news headlines are all fucked. Damn it. Whatever. That was working earlier today. God damn it. Alright, let's just turn off that. Yeah, the color source. Actually, I'm fine with that color source being there. Alright. Don't even know where to start with the history of Iran. Are people gonna get mad at me if I... Whatever. Oh, bro. I don't know. World War III, hopefully not, obviously, but we'll see. When do we start? Jesus, I don't even know where the relevant history starts. I feel like we can start in the medieval period. All right, sure. I'll change my name in this Discord server. What? I can't do a server nickname? That sucks. Whatever. Cannot be. That works. Wow. All right, when the invaded the country, Civil War. Jesus. Okay, let's start at 1500. Perfect. All right, early modern period. This seems like the most relevant. Underwent a revival during the Safavid dynasty, the most prominent figure of which was Shah Abbas I. Some historians credit the Safavid. How the fuck do you say this?
Safavid.
No, that's not right. Oh no. Is it Safavid?
Safavid.
Safavid? Oh Jesus.
Safavid.
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 Wow.
Safavid. Safavid.
Okay, well, fuck that. That doesn't work at all. Okay. Safavid, whatever, empire. It's often considered the beginning of modern Persian history. Okay, we'll go here. God damn. They had fucking everything. Huh. Going all the way down to... Jeez. Ah, yeah, damn. Now, what the fuck is going on here? Oh. Where we were all the way somewhere. There we go. All right. Let me do the timeline 1501 to 1736. Why is it Iran, not Persia? Oh, sorry, we're not at that lore yet. My bad. All right. In the beginning, yeah. Let's do that.
A couple weeks ago, the information.
Fewer. Okay, yeah, fuck you. You're right. Keep me in check. That can't be it. I don't know. Oh, there's some interceptions, I think.
there's also, we can pull up the AP. Look at, sorry, I'm doing shit off screen. Y'all can't say. Yeah, shaded penis. Tel Aviv skyline. Oh shit, there's actually shit happening. Oh god. Fuck. Yeah, there was some shit going on there. Is this actually the... Holy fuck. Holy shit. Oh, did one of them land? Oh god. I don't even know. I guess if you have family or friends in Tel Aviv, call them. Holy shit. Sorry, I don't think I've ever seen something like that live. Sorry, that's was that the smoke from the missiles launching, or were they hit? I cannot tell. Sorry, I'm completely, like, stunned, locked by that. I've never seen something like that live. Oh. File name cannot contain any of these characters. Tehran. And possible death of Iranian military commanders. Sorry, hold on. So how long has this been live? Oh shit, okay. Sorry, that's the smoke cloud from the launches. So I don't know shit about military stuff. That does look like an impact, if I'm not wrong. Right? It's Jerusalem. Okay, I guess. Israel hits by Indian missiles? Is that what that is? Were they all intercepted? It kills its top generals, okay. I think it was 3, right? 3 Iranian generals. God damn. So, there's a chance this is the end of it, I guess. Like, maybe they're, okay, we struck you, you struck us, and everyone gets along afterwards. Because what was the thing with the past Iranian missile where they struck and then both struck each other and then it was like, okay. Look. So it does look like it landed. I don't. Oh my god, stop fucking getting on my email. We'll keep an eye on this. Yes. Jesus fuck. Iranian government and their allies on the international. What? It's not within our. So this is Israeli stuff. The Israeli arms identified 2 missiles that were launched from around towards territory of the state of Israel. Short time ago, the defense system working to intercept the threat. Key. So we'll see, I guess, fallout from this. The market's tanking. Not to make light of any of this. I mean, unless the market's tanking for some other reason, but I feel like the world's kind of on the edge of their seats, clenched right now, looking at what's going on here. I'm gonna go blow my nose, sorry. Almost. Oh. Anyways, alright, we're back. They have a live view of Tehran? Sorry about this. I just hate how my voice sounds when it's like, when I'm like congested, man. So fucking annoying. Sorry, a little nasty. Had to do it. Alright, that should be a bit better, I guess. I'm not really sure. We'll see. Let's get the time frame of all of this right. So this was... So... Also, is there a live view? Eh. Tehran? Not a live camera. I'm not a fucking creep, man. No, not like that. Ew. Alright, whatever. That's fine. Tehran. It's Tehran. Tehran. With a little, like... Sorry, my congestion is not fucking helping. Any of my... shit. Launches 100. Number unconfirmed. Missiles into Tel Aviv. I guess you don't need the Tel Aviv. 1 around 2 say 2 p.m. Eastern time. 1 appears to 1 land 1 lands. And since it's a number, we'll just do a little old question mark, because we don't know. Okay. Hell. Could just work backwards, I guess. Let's do this. I don't know, what do you think? What's better, the timeline or the reverse timeline? Oof. Sorry, you guys can't see dick. Put the... Oh, fuck. Sorry, it's the streamer ever. This is, Oh, fuck. No, I just want to select my window capture, you fuck. Thank you. What, here? Yeah, I guess we could do that. Make it a little bigger. I don't like that layout at all, but whatever. What kind of weapons does Iran have? What missiles does Iran have? Table of Iran's military arsenal? What the fuck? Is this real? Oh, for fuck's sake. What is CEP? Missile precision is commonly measured by circular error, probable the radius within which on average half of all missiles fired will land. Oh, I see, okay. So, okay. I don't know dick about military shit, okay? I don't. Deployed, okay. What is considered a large payload? What do different missile payloads look like? Okay, what's the Moab payload, I guess? Okay, it's okay. Fucking hell. Oh my god. Ah. Do I need another fucking folder? Let's do missiles by payload. Is that... Sorry, again, someone can correct me on any of the approach I'm taking to this. Holy... Sorry, I know this isn't like the pressing concern, but... Okay, yeah. Is there an Israeli company index? Israeli company index fund. The... What's it? Is there a... Bloomberg ticker? No, I want the... This is just the ILS? Stock? The Brookmont catastrophic... I don't think that's what I'm looking for. Ticker... Okay, I see. MTF... F... 131. This is like SCP stuff. Ah! Oh, sorry, you guys can't see. I gotta keep everything at the top of the screen. Hello? Wow, this website's slow. What the fuck going on here? Okay, yeah. Why? It's obviously higher than... Okay, whatever. You know what? Whatever. No gaff, man. I mean, I do gaff, but... Israel index funds. The iShares MSCI Israel ATF. Not ATF. ETF. What is the ticker for it? Bloomberg ticker? No. Am I stupid? Oh. Is it just EIS? Yeah, it is. Okay. Seems pretty stable. This is June 11th, Thursday, June. This. Okay. So, this big sell-off over the night, I guess.